Cool. So who wants to go first? What's been going on? Someone jump up.
I don't know. I can go. And yes, I have been planning my trip with my friend to Europe. So that's underway. I've been just putting my brains around that. I'm not aware of, I'm really bad with documentation, visa, and all those things are not my, that like I'm very not very smooth with it. So just to understand what's required. And I've been getting to know that everywhere visa is taking a lot of time. So just trying to figure out from where I should apply. And so all that process is going on. So looks like it can happen. I'm still in the city. By next week, I will be heading back home. So hopefully, then this will just need to show up at the visa office and apply. Hopefully that will work through. So that's been about it. And other than that, I think now while I'm here, I will also actually work on my CV because now I need to start applying and I have time in hand because once I'm back home, again surrounded by people, I'm actually a little scared and nervous about going back home as well because I realized I've been in so much of peace, especially at my lawyer's place. There was completely no sound. So just coming into the city over here and the place where I'm in, there's so much of traffic outside. Just this is kind of messing up my mind a little bit. I'm so much noise. I realized 6 months I've been literally in no sound zone kind of a place. And here it's all so noisy. That's one thing. Okay, still I'm alone, but back at home now I'll be surrounded by again by 11 people. So that's a little daunting to me right now. I'm missing them, but for how long I will end up staying there, that's the thing. So I realize now this is the best time I have to really work on my CV, get my cover letter right, start applying while I have my peace of mind over here and there's literally no one to interfere and I don't have to give my time to anything else. So that's the next task that I have set up for myself. I actually also want to get back to my old activities that I was doing earlier, dance reels. I've been slow with that. So I want to pick up the pace with that actually. And then other than that, also now getting involved in ITU work that I used to do earlier. I want to do that very consciously again. So I have my own group as well on in ITU laboratory. So that's the group I had created to go through the ITU lessons and not just to go through the ITU lessons. I had made that group with the objective of, I'm sure you would have gone through the lesson. So after each lesson, there are a set of questions that you need to answer and reflect, right? So the whole objective of setting up that group was that I would want to actually set and answer those questions. So it's I'm building an accountability, actually implementing those questions, answering those questions and getting a reality check of where we are and where we want to go, applying those principles that we are being taught over here in this ITU lesson. So that was the objective. So I want to reopen that group because the other two people who were already there in that group, they're no more with ITU. So they're not really actually, I'm good friends with them, but now officially they're not there. So they're not really into the ITU lessons again. So I want to open up that group again and at least just very few people, just one or two people I want in that group. And I want to go through those lessons and work on those answers because it's not easy. I realized for myself when I was doing it alone. So I thought if I get to discuss it with one more person who's absolutely serious about going by those lessons, then that will be helpful. So that's one thing I will try to revive. So those are the 2-3 things that are on my mind right now.
So what will you do when you're at home and there's all the noise? I don't want you to ruin this week by worrying about next week, but what action will you take? Or what are some possibilities? Do you feel it's too noisy?
I do have a room for myself, so I think I will be kind of restricted to that room. I don't know what will come to me naturally or not, but right, when you are at home, people do not respect your timings and your boundaries that will just barge in any time whatsoever. But I think I need to be a little bit more organized in my schedule so that and also communicated very clearly that this is the time when I'm actually working. Just treat it as I'm working in an office and this is the time when you just can't come in and go anytime you please. So I need this kind of privacy to focus on my things, not in a bad way, but I genuinely need that kind of a space for myself to be able to do
Boundaries.
something. So I think that will be the key, because of course, like until I move out again for the job, I will have to be there. I can't be anywhere else.
You said that people just barge in. Because you've been away, it's a great time to set new boundaries
Yeah,
and to be
exactly.
clear. Like,
Yeah.
know before you go which the priorities too, because you might not get everything you want.
Yeah.
Families have a way of doing that. So have a list and prioritize where it's a definite, this is a boundary, and other ones where you've got more flexibility, but still you can still have clarity and say, I would prefer this.
Yeah, exactly. So you are absolutely right. So I need to be kind of clear on what I'm going to do when I'm at home, and what activities will need a boundary and what will not need a boundary. Because if I am only like all over the place, then of course they will not respect my thing. So I need to stick to my schedule to show them that I am doing something serious and I need to be taken seriously when I'm asking something of them. That's absolutely right. So I think I'm gonna actually also include this task, that what am I going to actually focus on once I'm home. Like here it's my time, no one is around me, so I'm doing things at my pace, but there I have to be at a different pace altogether, because I need to accommodate them as well. I cannot be like that, right? So, and I want to be involved with them in the family as well, but need to protect my time.
Was this your last exam?
Yeah, this was my last
You're
exam.
complete.
Yeah, I'm done with it. Now I'm gonna apply for the membership and I'm gonna get the certificate that I'm licensed to practice US tax from anywhere in the world.
Fabulous. That's really huge.
Yeah,
I didn't realize this was the final one. And you had the confidence to move it up to an earlier date and passed, and you're ready to fly. So that's fantastic.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go. So Friday, I opened this email and it says, congratulations, you have been given the title or won the title of Heart Healing Practitioner of the Month. And I was actually flabbergasted. I had no expectation or and then I was also delighted, and then I was terrified, because part of what comes with this, it's free promotion and marketing on my behalf, and they're gonna like feature me on all their platforms, and they have multiple platforms, and of course my website. So it was like, okay, well, you really did it, girl. So I have a fire under my butt. I was supposed to speak this Saturday. I'm in Toastmasters and I haven't spoken in a very long time. And I thought I had plenty of time. My website would be up, and I haven't prepared a speech in early this morning because my group is on the West Coast and I'm 3 hours ahead. So I texted someone to see if they would switch with me for 2 weeks from now, because I have to get this website done. Period. Done. This is it.
The big domino. That's your domino. Your big domino.
Exactly. And I told Shaily before you all came on. So the web designer has a placeholder, like if you go to charlottegray.com, it was just a generic one, website somewhere coming or whatever. So I had her personalize it, put my picture on there, and say how to contact me if they have any questions in the interim. And plus then when the big announcement went out on the platforms on yesterday, and they did say in parentheses, they put my website and said coming this month, because I told them it's coming. So, and then I was it was a holiday here in the United States. So Monday was a 3-day weekend, and yesterday was Labor Day. So I was with my daughter and her family Sunday, Monday. So I lost significant time. I did some work there, and I had my daughter, go through the website with me, because what's difficult is like, I'm doing it pretty much in a vacuum, and that's hard. It's like I need other eyes on it, that have a sense of, what I'm doing. And she gave me some great notes. Obviously was in touch with the web designer when I asked her to change the placeholder and said, I won this award. I've got to get this thing up. Hopefully I'll be ready for us to meet, in the beginning of this week. It's not going to be today. Hopefully it'll be tomorrow. And she can turn it around very fast. So I'm not worried about that. I hate to say I hope, because obviously a lot of it has to do with me. It's not hope, it's decision.
But worst case, you can put something up that's not like everything you want, but maybe it's 80% complete, or it's missing the testimonies or whatever. At least something's up, rather than like waiting here. Like, that's not going to give them much about you. At least they can go and check you out a little bit versus coming soon.
No, that's a good point too, to like get over myself and move forward. I have seen other people's websites where they have sections, and then they have sections saying coming soon. So I have enough to launch something for sure. I'd like to use today as and then I have an RTT, rapid transformational session this morning, and that's like several hours. But after that, then it's all website. I had to fill out a form for them, answering all kinds of questions for part of how they were promoting me. So it was all about heart healing and so on and so forth. But it was also a great opportunity to reflect, and see. And I wrote a very nice thing, and they actually used most of it in their share. But I have all my testimonials. Like, I shortened them all. I have them all typed up, and I'm going to give them to her to make pretty and put around. I did have one other friend go through the testimonials to give me their ideas of which, for her, she gave me the top 5 to put at the top that she felt had the most impact, because, people may not read through the whole thing. And my daughter is doing the same. The one daughter is doing the same thing for me. And I asked her to do the top 5 to 10. So then I can just organize it that way, give it to the web designer. She can get busy on that. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. Any input, always welcome. And I always thank you for your support, because you guys, like Shaily said, you guys have just been helping, driving as slow as I have been, as resistant I have been, but I'm still on the train and I'm about to reach the station. So thank you.
When is it going out, or it's already out? Like, they've already promoted your website?
Yes, they did it yesterday, went the big promotion out and about. So I reposted what they posted. I did a post on Friday, then I spent time writing up I don't think I even got it up till Saturday, but I wrote up a whole post. I'm so excited. I've just, to let my people know. I was getting this designation, kind of what it means, what I do, a couple of testimonials, and also that the website is coming very soon. And then they put theirs out yesterday, so I reposted theirs on my site as well. But it's a different angle. It's talking about, more about what I do as a heart healer. And that's great, because all that stuff is also going to be on my website, because it's one of my modalities. I do heart healing, rapid transformational therapy, and coaching with NLP.
For your website, have you got any analytics on it, or are you going to have analytics on it?
Thank you for reminding me. The mouse
flow. That's for recording, but I'm also talking about Google Analytics and Facebook Analytics. For example, if someone's sending you traffic, you can retarget them on Facebook or in Google.
Okay, Google Analytics, and what was the other one?
And Facebook.
Facebook what? Analytics?
Yeah, Facebook.
Will they do that for the personal face page, or is that only for the business? Because my business...
You have to have a business, but all you do is you create a pixel and you put it on your website, and that way, say, a week from now, you can retarget, or whenever you want to, you can basically retarget people who have been on your site that didn't give you any details.
Like, how would I retarget? What would I say? Like, DM them or tag them?
So it's just like you show up in there. For example, if you check out a book, like one of Russell's books, and you don't buy, he'll retarget, say, hey, you've been on my site, but you didn't buy this book. Why not? What's going on? You're missing out on, like, you can just, if they've been on your gonna book you in but stopped, you can retarget them. A lot of people just do, like, I'm running ads and don't retarget, but 80% of the sales or whatever come from the retargeting, because that's warmer people. It's warmer traffic versus someone cold.
Yeah, it would be inappropriate for me, since I'm not very active on the Facebook, to make an offer yet, but this was a big announcement. And at the end, I did say, if you're curious to find out more about heart healing, DM me. Nobody has so far, but
it's just like you can do it now or for future or whatever, but you can literally say, people from this website, hey, I've got a special deal for you, only for you because of whatever, and you can retarget just those people that came from that source. So you can, if you get it on, you can play around with it. Basically, it's not the most, getting the website up is first step, but yeah, if you can get the analytics on it, at least the sooner you get it on, the better, because then you can at least see the traffic and know what's going on. And if you want to, then muck around with some retargeting.
So what are you committing to for next week?
Well, next Tuesday, my commitment is to share that my website is up. And it's got it. That's it. And I need to do the website. Anyway, that's it. Google Analytics, Facebook Analytics, Mousefall. Oh, and the other thing is, so as a rapid transformational therapist, RTT, Marissa Peer, they had some other directories that I didn't bother to post in before because I didn't have a website, and it was kind of key that you did. So they scratched those and they just put up a brand new directory. So I'm in the directory. And so I need my website up for them too, because
the universe is pushing you to get it out.
Yes. Yes, no more talk, all action.
Is there an RTT coach that needs to do practice time with anybody, perhaps?
Oh, absolutely. We have a whole thing with that. Why do you ask?
Be the client? That you could be the client on the website?
Oh, yeah, I can be. Yeah, it's we have that. We can sign up for that, and then they pair us up with another alumni. They've changed that too over the years, and now it's reciprocal with the person that does the session on you, so you're committing to do a session for them with that person, and I plan on doing some.
Cool. I can share next. So for me, this week I failed my first interview, but I asked why. So I asked the HR chick why, and she's like, because there's lots of other people with experience in this particular field. I was like, give me something that I can take away. That everyone's got more experience doesn't tell me anything. So I ended up reaching out to the director, had a 4-minute meeting with him, and he's like, oh, you didn't pass because you didn't give enough information as to what your plans are in the next 5 years. And so he put me through to the second round because he's like, that's irrelevant. You can do the job. A weird thing, but also talking to some other people that have run into that feedback where she's just like, this new chick, she's just like, hey, you didn't pass because whatever reason, and the reason's not true, which is, I don't know, I don't get it. Just tell me why so I can do something. That was the whole point. I didn't go in expecting to get through. I just went in like, if people have 2 years experience, at least tell me that, so then I can expect when I apply next time I can do it. But instead, I've got an interview on Friday with the director and a developer. So we'll see how that goes.
I think, James, you put the director in the spot by asking him the reason. And he, I think himself understood the reason that I'm giving doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
What are those things? It's like, can you do the job? Yes, but you didn't answer some random question about something that's just HR related. And it's like, but that's irrelevant. So, because essentially my 5-year plan, I just told them that I was going to I wanted to be a developer and work in a team. I didn't give them much information. Whereas like my 5-year plan doesn't actually include ClickFunnels. So it's like, that's why they got a short answer. But so if I go into this round, I'm going to basically expand on that.
But who makes 5-year plans now? Not 5 years nowadays is such a long time, especially for a work-related.
Yeah, you should tell them this question is very dated for an interview round. You should come up with some new questions to ask. This is a very old question.
That's very valid. That's very valid.
They're like, they need to review their questionnaires. 80% of people, 70% of people don't follow through on the New Year's resolution. So they're asking for 5 years, not even like people don't do 1 year. So what's the point in asking for 5? Going to be bringing it up. So I was going to bring it up with like her boss, but then I'm going to bring it up with head of my department, because then he can take it to the head of their department and actually do something. Because I spoke with other people and they ran into the same thing. So it's like, it's not just me where people are missing out because of dumb questions when they could be better at the job like than the person that you hired. So yeah, that's like I'm going to bring that up once I finish this actual interview process and give them my feedback, because there's no feedback form for them. So I'm going to give them feedback whether they want it or not. So yeah, that was a win. And then my other meetup, I had the 4 people, 3 canceled, 1 showed up. But they let me know. The ones that canceled let me know. So that was a plus. So 1 showed up, and she gave me a NLP coaching for my interview.
Is that what you used?
No, I haven't used it because the interview's on Friday. So
that one.
So yeah, and then this week, there's 10 people registered for the group. So I'm curious if like 2 will show up. But it's working slowly. And for my other group, my mate's doing the marketing one. He had about 4 or 5 people showed up. And yeah, this week my plan is I'm reviewing the Rails stuff, basically, like what is what, how to do what, and just seeing what I can remember. My plan is to show like a magic trick in the sense like, what's it called? Memory palace. I think I talked about this a while ago, memory palace technique. So essentially I'm going through the documentation and I'm documenting all the subjects, and I can basically use that as like I'm going to get a solid foundation of this language by doing this, by basically memorizing the whole document, which is like a lot of stuff, but it's working. I'm up to like page, like chapter 1, but like point 17. We'll see if I can remember it on the day, but it's because I'm trying to think of different ways to stand out rather than just do like, hey, I can do Rails, so everyone can do Rails. So yeah, I'm memorizing the whole documentation. Someone else tried that.
Are you using Jim Quick's method?
The memory palace isn't from Jim Quick. It's like he uses that technique, but it's from like the Greece back in like ages ago, essentially, where they had a meeting and the building fell down, and to identify the bodies, the guy could remember where they were depending on the location.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a like ancient old technique, but it's like they used it to remember like speeches and everything. So I'm using it to remember the concepts of all these Rails documentations. And then once I've done Rails, then I go do Ruby, and then I'm a master. But we'll see if I can do like a chapter a week. There's, I don't know how many, like 20 chapters. So it'll take like 20 weeks to get through it all if I can do it in that time. Because I'm learning it, but like I'm memorizing it, but I'm also practicing it and then memorizing it. So like you have a loop where you like do the thing and then you can visualize it, because it all relies on visualization. In your room, you put like a picture of something like a fish, and that fish could be related to whatever you're trying to remember.
I love your questions, James. You know, even how not only I love them in this group as well, but just hearing you say how you challenged and questioned the HR people and then the director. It's very powerful. It's powerful for you to get the results and the feedback you want. And it's also empowering to the people you're putting the questions out to.
It's the most fun I've had applying for an interview. I'm not attached to the outcome. Like I'll do what I can do to put my best foot forward, but really I I noticed that I wasn't attached to it when I was applying for like apprenticeship like 10 years ago or whatever. There's so much more anxiety, so much more heavy trying to like, I have to do this thing. Whereas this is like, it's so much fun in just doing all this stuff and even challenging them like, hey, come on, tell me why. In the interview, I want next time I do it, I'm going to like, what have you been doing 5 years? I'm going to tell them, but I'm also going to like, what have you been doing? Like, I'm going to flip it on them to like see how they answer. Cause yeah, I've done with ClickFunnels, I've done like, I don't know, 10 interviews over 5 years for different positions. And this was the worst interview that I've like taken. So it's just, yeah, I want to challenge them to, the 10 questions, they're not part of it. It's getting to know the person. That's what's, in my opinion, that's what's important, not the 10 questions. They're just something to get you talking.
So what's different from when you were interviewing before and it was so important, and now that you're so relaxed about it? Is it where you are in your life, or is it mindset, or both?
Like when I was, I don't know, 17-ish, it was young. You want to achieve, I don't know, there's more pressure. Like I wanted that thing. Yeah, there's more I put more pressure on myself because I hadn't been in the workforce as such. I hadn't had an apprenticeship. You sit at those interviews, like you sit like there's a panel like 4 or 5 people, and they just like rapid fire your questions and that type of stuff. So it's like challenging. But now it's one thing is I know what I want. I know that I've got I actually have a 5-year plan, and I know like I can get to that plan irrelevant of what ClickFunnels does or if I get this job or not. It doesn't make any difference to my plan. It's just a fun thing that I can do on the side, knowing what I want and that I can get it irrelevant of what others do. Yeah, all the challenges you go through, all those things that you don't want to do, they help you grow up as well. This week is following practicing my thing, getting ready for the chat, even though it sounds like it's not going to be, it sounds like it's more casual, and then they give you a project. It's more the developer and the head of product getting to know who I am, because I've never worked with them. This was the first meeting he had with me was like, hey, tell me why I didn't enter. Like, it's more just them getting to know me, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. And then having there's like 3 interviews. So then it's like, you do this, you pass. If you pass, you get a coding challenge, which makes sense. So they can actually see that you can do the thing. That for me is like, yes, okay. And then you have another interview with like the guy in front of me is like he's got like 5 people invited to his like 3rd round. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. If I do the thing, it's more challenging and I'll grow more in that direction, but I don't need it. I don't need it to do the, like, it's more work because it's all new. So, you do a new thing, a new job, a new role. It's more work. So I would have less energy to do my side projects basically. But if I don't get it, I stay where I am and have, like, I can do my job simply. So I have lots of energy to do side stuff. So it's like this.
And for me, it was kind of interesting, James talking about planning, because I've been really distracted, I guess. And I've been trying to build my focus, and I realized that's not it. That since Finland, I've been wanting to travel, and I'm trying to figure out how I can do more traveling and all that. And I realized that's not it either. It's novelty, that I have a need for novelty. And my energy went up when we started paddleboarding, which was great. But winter is coming, so that's going to be off. So I do want to travel, but novelty. I need much more novelty in my life. I think it was just because of COVID. Like when something comes up, you handle it, but I didn't look at the cost of continuing with that lifestyle of still kind of staying put. So adding novelty to my life, made kind of a 1-year plan, sort of. And I noticed that I'm drawing unethical people into my life. So I need to really look at that, because I had the big thing that's in process. And I went to the Entlitly Facebook page. Entlitly's the platform going with website. She had said that it's kind of like ClickFunnels, only stripped down for people who get overwhelmed. And I thought, that is the perfect pitch for someone like me, the perfect pitch. So I went to their Facebook page and said, I've got the bulk of the copy. I've tried to actually do I got a 2-week freebie about 3-4 months ago. Hated even the thought of doing it, didn't really do it. And is there anybody here that would like to do that part for me? 3 people responded. The first person, her main thing was to get me out of Entlitly, because she said you have to pay every month, it's expensive, blah, blah, blah. if you use WordPress, you only pay once. And I said, I've heard too many nightmare stories about WordPress. I'm not doing WordPress. That is so not me. And she goes, oh, you don't have to worry about it. You just pay us to do it. And I thought, okay, so I'm still paying. Like, but I thought it was very unethical of her to go to their Facebook page to poach somebody.
How do you spell it? What's the site?
ENLITLY. Yeah. Not for me.
Mine's a WordPress with the Divi layover, and the layover is what is now my dashboard that I work with, as opposed to going into the WordPress to make it easier.
The third person who applied started asking questions, and I loved it. I thought, I already know I'm probably going with you because of all the questions he had asked. So I responded to them all, and I said, do you have an estimate? Because he said, answer these questions, I'll give you an estimate. And then he gave me a screenshot of prices, but I don't know where the screenshot was from. Like, he could have made it up for all I know. And he gave me a price. And I'm thinking, okay, that I think is pretty high for what in theory is a cut and paste. And I said, thanks so much. I'll get back to you. I've got one more person I'm interviewing. And then he wrote back and said, oh, so you're doing the copy? And it was almost half the price. Now, earlier on in the same conversation, he said, so I'll do this and you'll supply the text, the images, and something else. So he was very clear that he was not doing it. And suddenly it's almost dropped by half. And I'm going, I have the third person in 2.5 hours we're meeting, and I'll talk to her. If I thought, okay, why am I drawing people to me that aren't being honest? Like, I'm trying to be clear and honest, and I fully expect to pay. Like, I'm not trying to dicker them down or anything. And yet the people I'm attracting in my life are people who aren't ethical, and I haven't figured that out. So I need to add novelty and repel unethical people. So that might tell me that somewhere in my life, I'm not being ethical, because they talk about the energy. I have no idea, because I've always seen myself as an ethical person, but I think most people do. And when they aren't being ethical, they're just kind of going, well, that's how life is, though. Everybody does it, and we explain it away. So I haven't figured that out yet.
So, Diane, you use the word, you don't want to, correct me, but something about you don't want to bring in, or you want to repel unethical people. How did you phrase it?
I think that's
repel.
How, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So putting that aside, what is it that you would like in its place?
Yeah.
What do you actually want?
I want to repel unethical people. You're focusing on unethical people.
On the ethical.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to. I want people who are honest and care about other people. That it's not just about them. I want honesty and respect for others.
You want respect for you, don't you?
For others. I would be included, but for others, like I want them.
Right, but if you're hiring them, it's about you, too. You want them,
but
to
also
respect
themselves. You. Like, I don't want somebody, and I've worked with people who cut their time or cut their money. And I'll say, I was working with a sewer who was giving me these deals and saying, I'm sorry that I have to charge you this much of my time. And I said, don't apologize. You charge what you need to charge, and then I say yes or no. Don't apologize. Mm-hmm. You determine what you need, and then it's up to me to say yes or no. But never, ever apologize.
Money is a tricky thing if you're not comfortable. Like my partner is also, she's so uncomfortable with asking for money and dealing with money. Even though she's a freelancer, like it's.
I am too. I've had so many money issues. Then it's still something I work on. It's still, I would say, it's my main issue in life. That's just ongoing. And
what is the issue? What is the actual issue?
The deep issue for me is undeserving of money, or like my mom, would you call it a by the Bible Christian, where she felt that if you had money, you should be giving it to the poor because we had more. So we should be giving. My dad, who was an extremely hard worker, and there were things in his childhood that reinforced this 100%. So I know where he's coming from, that if you have money, you got it unethically. And so the rich are unethical. And when you listen to his childhood, you go, I get where you're coming from, because his family was screwed over a few times. And so I understand it, but that doesn't mean I have to believe it. And so I've been working through it, but it keeps coming up. Like I said, these two people, I'm going, I'm willing to pay you, but I also want a fair
exchange.
Work in return. Yeah. And unfortunately, because I don't know how much it takes to build a website, blah, blah, blah. I can and have been taken with building websites before.
That reminds me of like the sleazy car salesmen, like, because like, you know, you don't know about the car, they kind of take you for a ride. It's similar. Don't know about websites? Okay, that's okay.
Are you looking for someone to write your content? Like,
no,
you're going to do the content? You need the tech like I did.
Yeah.
No. Okay. What do you look, do you have a cap on how much you're willing to pay?
No, I do. I guess I kind of, because I've done all the copy, I'm giving them websites to follow the pattern. I've got a fairly clear idea compared to what I used to be when I would ask somebody. I think my idea is fairly clear. When he asked questions, I was able to answer them all immediately, except one, and that's because I need to draw it out. So I think I would be an easier client than at least the person who I used to be, when every question was kind of like, I don't know, let me think. I don't know. Like, I was just so lost.
And you don't want a WordPress?
No.
What do you know what you want instead of?
Yes, and Litly. And I was learning about ClickFunnels. Well, actually, I met her earlier, and I liked her because she's a female starting a company. And I like that. Canadian, which I'm Canadian, so I like that as well. But I wasn't looking at a website at the time. And then I got into ClickFunnels, and she had already said it's like a stripped down version of ClickFunnels for people who find that too complicated. I didn't know ClickFunnels, so I just went, oh, okay. And then when I got into the ClickFunnel world, I'm going, I like the theory, but man, I'm lost with everything it can do. And I remembered her, and I had attended a couple of her sessions, and I found her down to earth when she interviewed someone, I think on marketing, or I can't remember because it was many months ago. But I thought, I like her. She lets the person speak. She listened. She reflected good questions. And I thought, yeah, I like her. And the worst that'll happen is I'll get a website that doesn't work for me, but it'll have forced me to get my copy, to choose some images, as long as I save the information. And if there's any names that get collected, I get that. It's not a loss. I'll have used it to push me forward. So it would be wonderful to get that done sooner than later.
Have you used this site? Have you actually signed in, logged in, actually used the entity, whatever it is?
I did get a 2-week freebie a while ago, and I started going through it, and I thought, I hate this. I hate everything about it. Why am I like, it was just, I would go to do it and I think, oh, okay, I'll do it for 15 minutes. Oh, I can handle 15 minutes. And I thought, this is just insane. This is so insane. And so I probably tried to work at it for about 5 days, because I thought, if I just get into it, it'll be easier. It'll make sense. It'll be fine. And at the end of 5 days, it was still an energy drain on me. And I thought, okay, it just isn't for me. I gave it a good go. It still doesn't make sense. I have no idea how to create a page that I would like, how it's set up. Time to let it go.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's honestly, tech's not your thing. We've all seen that over this. So, and like, yeah, I'm a big believer of focusing, it's what you're good at. Focus on your strengths and get other people to do. And that's how Russell, he's managed to grow his business. He has like, he's the marketer. Like he's not the software. He has no idea. Yeah. He's got a teammate that does that. And then you got everyone else. They call it the waffle. So where you've got like one guy's a designer, one guy's a this, one guy's a that, like each one has their tasks, and there's like 6 people, and you have your like Avenger team. That's how ClickFunnels talk about it. So you want to get your team of people that can do the thing, and you direct and do what you want to do, not try and do everything. Otherwise, you're going to be here for a year with no website. And getting a website's not hard, guys. Like I can do one in like, I don't know, an hour.
It took me an hour to get to the computer and convince myself to sit down to do it.
Well, that's what I know. That's been my struggle.
It's like funny. In one of the things where Russell was talking, he said when they were building ClickFunnels, they were good to go. Was, can Russell build it? Can Russell use the program? Because he's so awful at it that if he could do it, anyone could. And I thought, oh, I like you. I like that aspect of you. So I will definitely reach out to you. I'll talk. I've got, like I said, I've got an interview with a lady in 2.5 hours, but I'm not comfortable going with the guy who suddenly had a 40% discount as soon as I mentioned that I had another interview. If I went forward with that one, then I would deserve whatever I got. The red flag is up. So.
How big is their group? Like, how many people are actually in that group?
Which group? Sorry.
Like, you post? Did you post your
Facebook?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look.
Curious.
The
same thing with ClickFunnels. Like in the ClickFunnels group, there's like 250,000 people, and if you post something, you get hammered with like.
Yeah, no, it's a small, because it's a business that she only recently started, I believe, like in the last, I'm going to say 18 months, but I don't know, 2 years. And so I don't think there's many in it, would be my guess. Yeah. And she did respond, because after the first lady tried poaching me, I DM'd her and said, just so you know, this is what this lady is doing. And she responded and said, if you don't find somebody, I can recommend someone that we've got on our team, and they will do it on the side. So I know I could get somebody, but if I get your guy, then maybe I can continue with your guy, whereas that would be a one-off thing, whereas this could be an ongoing. So I would like that better.
Yeah, and that's the advantage. Like, you learn and work with them, and you actually trust them. Like, I can trust them to do things, and it gets done. So yeah, it's a bigger instead of like random one-solvers. But yeah. All good. So your goal is to basically assign someone to build a website for you.
Yep. Website and continue. I've been redoing the 30-day challenge, Russell's 30-day challenge. And now I'm doing the one-pagers that go with it. Charlotte, he had in May this 30-day challenge that I thought was this quick and easy thing. And so I signed up for it because my friends were doing it. And it was like an hour to an hour and a half of tutorial. And then there was homework on top of it. I couldn't keep up. And so now I'm going back. I found out that the Facebook page is still open, so I can go back, and they might close it down at any time. So I've been really...
But they just archive it. So it's not closed, it's archived. So the content will be there. You just won't be able to post.
That's excellent, because I've been in other groups where like a week after they shut it down, and so you lose everything. So I'm going back, and I'm working on that. So I would like to be the 21st day of homework with that, because I'm already well on my way. And 90-day challenge. Have you guys signed up? That caught me off guard.
What is the challenge? That's what I thought you were talking about at first. So what is that challenge?
It's the same challenge that brought us together.
Having a goal.
It's this challenge that we just never ended.
Yeah. They're redoing it, but
we're about to.
But they're restarting it. But I only got the first email on Friday, and in theory, it closes today. That you have to have
And I had a meeting with Amy, and the reason they're doing a hard stop, because essentially all the time it took to organize people, and then people keep coming in and reorganize. It's just like it's a drain on their time.
The last time, I think, I can't remember how many started, and then I would contact and they wouldn't respond. Like, it took so much time the first 2 weeks. I thought, I don't know that this is like, I want to help ITU, but this is way too much time that you're asking me for. So I appreciate them doing that. But when I got it, I thought, I don't know what my goal is yet. And I was busy trying to figure out my goals. So I just wrote in, I said, this is my temporary. I don't even know. I said, I want to understand LinkedIn. And so it will be a LinkedIn goal, but I don't even understand LinkedIn well enough to make my goal. And I sent it in.
I mean,
so you're doing it. So they're going to put you in another group.
I asked this group.
Yeah, they should join our group. We've already got a group.
And that's what I wrote. I sent in a thing saying I only gave one time zone. And I sent a thing to Amy saying, because I mentioned to her earlier, we've got this, and I gave the names of the people, and I said, we're already meeting at this time, but we would like more people.
Yeah, I'm debating, like 5 people, I think is good. Like, if we get too many people, then it gets like, if we had 10, we get no time, like you get like 5 minutes to talk. So It's debatable. We can see how it goes, but yeah, I mean, more people, we can try it out for sure. But yeah, too many. Where's that limit?
Yeah, very much.
Will they send us people if all of us are not signing up for the challenge?
Because I'm not signing up. I'm happy just cruising in this group.
Oh, okay. Then maybe, Shaily, are you signing up for it?
I do want to, but I want to remain in this group only. Like, I don't want to go elsewhere.
Then what I'll do is I will withdraw that. I'll just send a note to Amy to withdraw.
The board.
I could probably even delete it because I just wrote it yesterday. And so I could probably delete it because I would think she hasn't gotten to it yet. So James, you were talking about adding another person that you knew somebody. So why don't we just do that?
No, well, what I was going to do was just see if we could get someone from the meetup. Like in one of your local areas. So like whoever, like, so, you know, eventually you could meet them in person. So we pick someone's local area. We start a meetup group for that, and we see if we get a few more people. My bet is we get like one, which is what I got. Like I got 30 people in the group, but I got one consistent. And if we get one person, that's fine.
What is the objective? To just bring new energy in?
Yeah.
Insights?
Bring, like, it's kind of, it's a balance. Yeah. More like we want enough. It's like a mastermind. Yeah. You want enough people in to share ideas, and another viewpoint is another set of ideas that could help. Like, and so that's like the goal, but it's like 6 or 7, I think, like would be like, that's where you still get enough. But yeah, like if someone's not here, it's still like there's enough people to go around. That's my thoughts, but I don't mind.
I like the idea of bringing in, quote, new blood, but my concern is if it's coming from something outside of, as I call it, UTI, whatever. I'm just stuck on. I'm afraid that it's like a completely different energy as opposed me, because you know we
not necessarily
mindset.
No, because for example, the group I did now was growth mindset and accountability group, and the person I got is that like the people that actually showed up have that attitude. So it's like good. The marketing of the group is, you know, this what we've got. I don't want someone who's like, yeah, not on that mindset. No, that doesn't make sense.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that's my concern, that's jarring and distracting, and you know, but I'm open for new blood if they're on the same brain.
Yeah, so that's like we can either go with the ITU and see if they give us 1 or 2 more people, or we can open the group up and do it that way. Like,
well, maybe you indicate that we just want to add like 1 or 2 people.
I think that they're so overwhelmed with requests and things that would just, yeah.
So my plan with Amy is to build her app that handles this for next round next year, which is cool. So in talks with doing that. All right,
guys, I'm going to have to get going because I have to prep for the session that I have. But this has been great, and can't wait to share with you on Tuesday.
Sounds awesome.
Have a fabulous week.
Bye-bye.
All right, all of you. Bye-bye.